Hello and welcome. It's Tracy Campbell here for Confessions of a Paper Addict Design Team. Today I'm going to be using one of the December cut file release. It's called Twas the Night Before Christmas. And I'm going to be scrapping some of my photos that I took of my decorations in my house on Christmas Eve. I am breaking into my Pink Fresh Studios Christmas kit or pack, and it's called Oh Dear Fun. So I'm going through just looking at what the papers are. They're quite good. Papers are quite good. They're absolutely lovely papers. They're quite thick. The base of them, so quite sturdy. And I'm just looking at what I'm going to do with this cut file. Now, this is my process of how I go about using a cut file and new papers that I haven't played with before. So I put the cut file down, I put them down with the photos, I move them around, rearrange them. I look at the cut file itself, but I also look at the placement of the photos. I'm looking at how I want to position it on the paper and if the cut file's standing out from the background, what colours I could use to back the cut file with, and just more or less fiddling and getting an idea. Finally decide on this one with the snow globes on it. Even though we don't get snow here in Australia, it didn't have any actual snow in it. It was just more pictures, fun little pictures of Christmas. So I've decided on that, and I like the placement of the photos staggered. So one sits on the top line of the font in the title, and the other sits a little bit further down on the second line. Now I'm just going through and deciding that I want to back the words "Twas the Night Before Christmas" all in one solid colour. And I flicked through the papers, and as you saw, I've decided to stick to the pinker colour. It stood out more on the snow globe paper than what the other papers did, so that's the one I chose. Now, for my process for how I cut out the centres, I use a pencil and I trace the inside cut out of the cut file. And if there's double up in letters or things like that, I actually put a little mark on them. So you can see me just there doing on the S's, put a dot on one dot, two lines on another. It just so when I do cut them all out in one hit, I've got some way of identifying which letter goes to which one. So if you've got two S's, the one with the dot goes to the first one, and the one with the two stripes goes to the second one. You could probably number them too, as I sometimes do. But in this instance, I was using little lines and dots. And then what I do is just fussy cut out the insert, the in part of the cut file, and I leave about 1.5 mils all the way around the outside of the pencil line. That just gives me enough room for it to adhere to the cut file, of the backing to adhere to the cut file in the glue and not show through any missed bits. So here are all the letters all cut out for that first part of "Twas Night" and first part of Christmas. And I am just going and sticking them down, making sure I've got the right S's where they're meant to go and the right letters in the right order. I'm just using a turbo tacky glue pen. I've kind of changed the way I do these cut files and what glue I'm using. This turbo tacky glue dries quite quickly. It gives me a little bit of time to move things around, but not much. So I have to be certain of where I'm putting it, because when you lift it up, it does tend to take the top layer of the paper off. And if you've watched a few of my videos, you know that I tend to pick things up and stick them back down again because I don't like the positioning, or I haven't got it quite right. I'm not perfect. I guess no one is. And here I am just finishing off the backing, and there it is. So all pink, and you still can't quite see it as much as I thought it would be able to be seen. So I've got an idea what I'm going to do for that one. So I'll show that in a minute. Right now I'm trying to work out what colour I'm going to do the little mice. and I decide that I wanted that burnt orange colour that's in the background of some of the pictures on the cute snow globes, like for instance the taxi up in the top right hand corner. And so I go looking in my orange supply stash and pull out a colour that's very similar to that burnt orange colour. Unfortunately, this Pink Fresh Studios Christmas pack didn't have anything big enough to back a cut file, or even a little cut file like this one in that burnt orange, unless I wanted to cut into the cut apart sheet, and I didn't want to do that. Now I'm just going back to the pink and backing, or tracing the insides of the little mouse's ears. Well, there's two, so there's two, the mice ears. And just quickly fussy cutting around them, tiny little bits. And out comes the glue pen again. And I actually really like this cut file. The mice are so cute, and the title is well spaced, well thought out. And it's just a really nice cut file. Quite simple, but quite stunning on the page. Confessions of a Paper Addict has the best cut files I've come across so far. All of them seem to cut superbly. There's no little bits that stick that you have to trim off. And when you're pulling it off your sticky mat from your, if you've got a cameo silhouette, it just comes off in just one quick, easy motion. Okay, I'm just reaching in and grabbing some enamel dots, and I'm going to use little black ones for the eyes. And just before I put it away, I decide I think I'm going to pop a little pink one on, just for the nose. They're so cute. I love how these cut file mice have turned out. They're actually calling my name. I'm going to, I think, duplicate them quite a few times and have a layout with just mice on it. I think they're just so cute. One little sitting up and one running away. Okay, decide I need to back my photos. Now I'm using they call them journaling pockets, I think, from the Oh What Fun collection. And I just can't get any of them to look nice enough. Because I do know where I want the photos and the positioning, I haven't got much room to play with down the bottom of the photo because I'm going to stick them above the title. So I'm using the left side and the right side of the photos, and just having a fiddle and a play. Sorry, it's off screen. I didn't realise it had cut that much out of it. Right, so I decide on the rejoice and ready for some merrymaking, and just drawing around where I've put the title and where I'm putting the photos, because I'm going to create a bit of a blur out so that the photos and the title stand out a little bit more on that backing paper. So I'm just using some heavy white gesso from Colour Blast Beati, and a little bit of the Colour Shimmer Dust by Colour Blast Beati as well, in Lush colour. Now these shimmer dusts are beautiful. They're stunning. They go a long way, and quite vibrant. I've mixed it with the heavy white gesso to tone it down, to give it a more pastel colour, but you can use them straight on the page by themselves. Sprinkle a bit and activate them with water, and they just kind of come alive on the page. I'm just using a paint palette and spreading it on to the background. It looks quite bold there in the colours, but using the heavy white gesso in it, when it dries a little bit more muted and a little bit opaque. Right, now I'm just grabbed a stencil that I'm going to use some Colour Blast colour paste in Snow, and the stencil are Starry Nights by Colour Blast Beati. And I'm just simply spreading it through with the paint palette all the way around the edges, because I know I'm putting the title and the photos there, so I'm just using the edges. I don't want to waste any excess media that I don't have to. I'm popping it away to dry while I decide if I'm going to use a matte for my photo. And I did decide on the blue. I'm just simply going to stick it down and cut around it to give about 2mm border around the outside of my photo. And I've used the blue colour because the blue matches in with the blue of the backing paper. It's a similar blue that is behind the snow globes. Just a quick trim around the outside and through the middle. Trim down where I went crooked a bit. And back it comes, nice and dry now. And I'm using a bit of the Dimensional Magic to stick it down with this time, having a bit of an issue with the nozzle of it. I use the Dimensional Magic this time because titles I tend to move around a little bit and not get straight. But this one, she went on quite nicely. And just positioning the rest of the elements down now. I'm using a double-sided sticky tape to stick them down. And what I don't show you in this process video is I actually go back and lift up the double-sided sticky tape a little bit and put some glue down later on, purely because I'm putting it down onto the heavy white gesso, and sometimes when you're using a mixed media on your page, the double-sided sticky tape doesn't stick very well. So I just go back and make sure that it is stuck down with the glue, and she's down and staying there for life. Not one of those pages you find all your little elements in the bottom of your page protectors later on. So stuck the mice down, making sure that my title is completely stuck, adding a bit more glue, and now I've got some of the puffy stickers, and I'm just going to go with Presents Under the Tree and Deck the Halls, just for a few little touches. Yep. And decide that I don't need any of the letters or words from the title pack in Oh What Fun, but I am going to use some of the stars that they've got in there just to add around the mice and the puffy stickers to give it a little bit more decoration. I've got going back and using some of the glue or the Dimensional Magic to stick the puffy stickers down, because they're one of the elements that do tend to fall off the page once the backing dries out a little bit over the years. So a bit of glue goes a long way with those ones. Right, so now I'm looking at it and thinking it's just about finished, but I want to add some journaling. So I've got 2 green pens and I'm just testing them out there on the side of the page, and actually go through and draw a border with a few stars and dots around the edges, just to enclose it in. I felt like the elements were falling off the page, even though they literally weren't, but they just looked like they were. And just a bit of more decoration and messiness on the page. Just deciding what I'm going to journal and end up writing some of the lovely decorations that we put up every year. Christmas Eve. And there we are. And she's finished. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this process video. Please stop into the Etsy store. It's going to show up on your screen very soon, and see you next time.